Science and soul, success in motion. Science and soul, success in motion. Level up your mind, level up your life, level up your purpose, one day at a time. Science and soul, success in motion. Welcome to the sweet spot. Welcome to the sweet spot.
Welcome back to the Sweet Spot with Dr. Derek Sweet, a board-certified psychiatrist specializing in sports and performance. In the Sweet Spot, we explore what it takes to stay steady and perform when the pressure is on and the moment matters. Stay tuned for Making Moves Monday.
Greetings and welcome back to the Sweet Spot, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us back here at the Sweet Spot. We're always delighted to have our guests join us, and this particular guest is someone that I'm extremely excited to share with you. I've held a secret from you all, Sweet Spotters. I've kept this man to myself for years and years and years. But now the time is right to share him with you and to introduce him. And before we begin, I want to just let you know that I don't ordinarily spend this much time on introducing folks. I let them talk about themselves. But when you have someone of this status, you do have to pay respect and honor where honor is due. Roger Hinds is a true veteran of NBA sports medicine. I don't think anyone would argue with that statement. He has a career that spans, at least in my view, 3 decades of NBA just knowledge and experience. He is currently, I believe, in his 21st season with the Knicks, the New York Knicks, the world champion New York Knicks, I should add, now serving as an emeritus sports medicine administrator with the team. I would let that sink in. That's a lot.
And I recall the time that we were first met. And I remember when my boss, I mentioned her name too, Dr. Lisa Callahan, when she said, "Hey, I want you to go have dinner with this couple." I said, "Who?" She said, "Well, you might have something in common. He's a Trini, like yourself." And I said, "Oh, yeah." And she said, "I'm thinking about bringing him in." This is the woman who had just amazing, she could see what was coming, right? Before the NBA thought about mental performance and mental health.
Absolutely.
And she wanted to be the first on board, and she wanted to bring you in to help us with that. So, my wife will tell you when I go out to dinner with anybody, and especially if she's with me or I'm by myself, I don't say a whole lot. I'm just sitting there kind of listening to these people talk, and I don't talk much about myself. And I'm sitting there having dinner with you and Darcel, and I had to, halfway through, I had to pump the brakes, and I was like, wait a second. I'm doing all the talking here. What's going on? Because you particularly had such a way of asking the questions and making someone feel comfortable that it was just me. I'm supposed to be checking you guys out, and you turned the tables on me. I didn't even get till halfway through the dinner that this man is really good. I said, "Doc," I went back to her. I said, "I'm sold. Let's get him." And here we are, 15 some odd years later. And
I remember that moment, man. I was just blown away. I couldn't believe that 2 amazing human beings from the New York Knicks were even speaking to me at that point. So I think part of the quiet was just trying not to make any mistakes as I was speaking. It came off as quite psychological and psychiatric, but in real talk, I might have been a little scared.
There you go with that again. You were not scared. You were pushing all the right buttons on me to get me to talk when I was supposed to be doing that to you. I'm like, okay, these 2 Trinis are going at each other right now.
Hey,
I was sold from day one.
How did you even know to go this path?
So, Doc, you have already mentioned, but some of it, but our family, and my family background, my father's background, that, we were a very, very sports-oriented background. My father, as you know, is a Trini legend in football. We say football, okay, for you folks who not talking about tackling people with helmets and shoulder pads. We're talking about soccer.
Yes.
The legend. He's a Hall of Famer in the Trinidad's, scope of things, and also at the Howard University. He attended an HBCU. All my siblings, the six of us, we all were trying to somehow meet this man at some point. Like, how were we ever going to get to that level, right? And then from trying, we never could get to that level. Not from not trying. I grew up in Brooklyn. Most of the kids in the neighborhood were playing football and basketball and baseball. My father was pushing me to the soccer and the field hockey. I played with the German American League. I played as a kid. I played in the Italian American League as a kid. Couldn't speak any language with these kids. I had nothing in common with these kids. When I go back to my neighborhood, I want to hang out with those kids. I want to play those games. So that kind of, like my father kind of got thrown off a little bit by that. But it was like, I don't grow up with Italians and Germans. I'm a Trini, and I'm living in a Trini community, a West Indian community here in Crown Heights. So in high school, I started the football, right? I tried basketball. I went to the baseball, track and field. And there was no bueno. It wasn't happening for me to go on beyond high school to maybe pursue it in college. And I'll tell you a funny story about that. So my senior year at Brooklyn Preparatory High School, there in Brooklyn, we had our football banquet. And our guest of honor to speak at our banquet was Joe Paterno. And Joe Paterno went to my high school there in Brooklyn. And he said, "Son, can you kick?" I played safety and cornerback in high school. So at that point I knew, okay, for college football ain't happening for me. This man thinks I'm a kicker. He ain't looking at me to play no real serious college football. So I had to decide, what am I going to do? Brooklyn College came next. I was in the midst of still trying to pursue the athletic side, so I'm trying out for my father, let me step back. My father was pushing me towards medicine. He had his idea of what he wanted each one of his kids to do. I was the oldest. He wanted me to be a doctor. 2 years.
Really? I didn't know that. Your dad wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah, he wanted me to be a doctor. And of course, the baby girl of all of them, the baby girl of all the kids is now going to be Jade is going to be a doctor. And
your daughter, right? Jade.
Yes. But after two full years of failing grades, doctor. Failing grades, because my heart wasn't in this. I'm like, this is not, this would be great, but this is not what I want to do. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but this was not it.
Yeah.
So I switched I said, maybe I can try physical education. Maybe I could teach phys ed or coach or something like that. I was trying out for the JV basketball team at Brooklyn College. And during the tryouts, my knee started getting sore. I'm like, what's wrong with my knee? I never had a knee injury before. I never had really injuries before. So the coach said, go downstairs in Roosevelt Hall, go downstairs to the training room. I said, what's that? He said, just go down there and go see Doc Chisholm. I said, okay. I went into that room and there's people all over the place. So it wasn't a big facility like it is now. It's a much more upgraded facility now. But back then it was just a little small room in this old building. And there's this black man sitting at a desk and there's students all over the place. I see athletes on tables getting worked on and I kind of was a little bit awkward. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to do this? And one of the guys saw me, walks over to me, said, what you need? I said, I was upstairs with the JV basketball trials that hurt my knee. They sent me down. He said, go over there and talk to that man over there. I said, yes, sir. Sat down and I met Dr. Bill Chisholm, who became my first mentor. And he has passed on, but he left. I remember he had a map, Doc. He had a map behind his desk. And one day I got up enough nerve to ask him. I said, hey, Doc, where are all those different pins you have on this map? He said, those are where my people have gone to school and where they're now working in places all over the country. I'm like, wow. I said, I want to be on that map. I want to be one of those pins. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. The fact, and I think young people listening would be encouraged to know that, look, you could be failing at something and it not be going well, but if you have switch into whatever else might work. And that's true for all of us in life. If one thing, that's what it sounded like you did. Like it didn't. You actually said I was failing in these, in this area, in the sciences or whatever, the medical part. And look at where you end up. Like look at where you end up.
Yes, I'm not ashamed to admit it, Doc. My grade point after the second semester of Brooklyn College, my grade point was a 1.99. I was about to be put on probation. My mother, rest her soul, bless her soul, she was as tough as nails. Any woman that can raise 6 kids in Brooklyn, right?
Absolutely.
And keep us all out of jail, right? 5 boys and a girl, my sister. But my mom, the grades got there before I could get home. She saw and she said, we got to have a little chat. I said, I knew I was in trouble because I knew where I was going because I saw the grades before they got home.
Yeah.
She took me outside. I said, where are we going? She said, let's step outside. It was getting dark. And down on the corner, Doc, where these dudes used to hang out on the corner around a trash can. And they were known for just hanging out, right? They had nothing else to do but just hang out around this corner, around this trash can, know what they were doing with the trash can. And at that time, I was, my mom depended on me a lot to keep things going for the other kids to look up to me because I was the oldest, because my father had stepped out of the picture. And she said, you have to make a choice. I said, yes, ma'am. What would that be? She said, you want to be with them or you want to live in this house? I said, say less. That was it.
Wow.
That was it. That turned my whole, that pivoted everything for me. I knew I had to find a better way to do things in school. I still didn't know what I was going to do. But then the blessing of the knee injury, if you call that a blessing, and going to meet those folks in that training room, Dr. Chisholm and Frank Walters and others, got me on the path,
So yeah, that's the other part about this, right? So you were failing in the courses. Your mom, God rest her soul, strong as she is, she takes you outside and she gives you the choice. Do you want to, path A or path B? Figure it out. Yeah. You go, this injury, which could be viewed as a setback. Was it a patella injury? I thought I read that.
I patella tendonitis, which is very common in basketball players.
Right. So this injury sets you back, but then really what it looks like is almost like a divine order to God is like moving you towards your career because you encounter Dr. Bill Chisholm in Brooklyn. You get fascinated by this whole athletic training, healing journey, and then you start this journey.
Yes.
Wow. Out of something that doesn't work, something incredible happens for you.
That's right. Amen.
And so many of us force the issue, Raj. I'm thinking about folks who are like pushing and trying to, because you were trying to please your dad. You were trying to do the right thing. I mean, this is all, you were trying to do the right thing here. And what if you had stayed and forced this and forced this and forced this? Who knows where you would have ended up? I mean, God had a huge plan for you.
That's right.
You just have to get moved into the right path.
That's right. Amen. Yes, sir.
That's amazing. So look, this is the thing about our conversation today that's why I only have 3 or 4 questions, because I knew that every question was going to really have a rich, deep answer. So now we know that the great, amazing Roger Hinds wasn't just perfect, didn't come out of the womb just perfect, that there was no struggle, there was no obstacle. You struggled and went through hardships and physical injuries, the mental torture of not doing well in school, having to pivot early to get to this place. And that's encouraging. So the question I have now, which is going to be a switch question, is a question about looking back at this career. We simply cannot go into every. I know you have a million memories, and I'm going to challenge you to try to think of one as you look back at this great career that you have, and tell us about one that sticks out. Is there anything as you look back over your career that sticks out to you as like, wow, man, that was a moment, that was a memory. I cherish it. Something that you'll never forget as a part of what you've been through.
This was probably the toughest question that you threw at me. I mean, this is probably the toughest one because, as you said, there's so many, right? You and I have just finished a crazy run to an NBA championship, sitting there looking at each other, riding on that bus in the parade and looking like, wow, this actually happened, right?
Yeah.
We were there with the other doctors and that comedian on their bus with us and just soaking it all in. It's like, I can't believe we just did this,
Yeah.
And holding that trophy in my hand and getting a picture with it, that was even more incredible.
Wow.
But I had to think about probably the amazing things that happened for me. If a young Trini can come to, an immigrant can come to this country, right, and get all the way to the point where he is looking out at this arena of these young stars who are all going to be bright, shining bright in their own entities for the future. But I went from that little island in the Caribbean to that spot over there on the floor, and I see all the heads turned because I was pointing to the corner where the bench is, and to sit in on that bench as an NBA athletic trainer, I said, for you guys, the sky's the limit. And that was the end of my speech. And then the mayor,
Wow.
Mayor Adams, gets up behind me and says, how am I supposed to follow that? Joe wasn't a trainer. That was my second job. My main focus was to get these guys ready to play, get them in shape. And I remember one of the veteran players said to me, when he met me, he says, hey, I'm good. I've been doing this forever. I'm happy you're on board. You're here with us. Congratulations, but I'm good. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be, if I can't get this guy going, I'm in trouble, right? Little old me.
Oh, wow.
Right?
And you at the time, just to be clear, you did not feel as if you were like, you had a bar to climb.
We weren't really clicking because he kind of felt like he didn't need me because he knew how to get himself ready to play ball. He didn't need me. I'm good, man.
Yeah.
Go work with them other guys. I'm good. But I knew that I had to win over one of these vets in order for everybody to follow because strength and conditioning was a new thing coming into the NBA now. There was no strength coaches. To join the active roster, the head coach made a comment to me and he made a comment to my boss and said, I've never seen this guy in better shape to play basketball since I've been working with this team.
Wow.
Yes.
But what do you say to him? Like, because I think for those of us listening or trying to figure it out, like what was the secret sauce there? Because at some point you and he had to be alone and talking.
Yes.
Were you direct with him? Were you, how did that work?
We found some common interests, right?
Okay.
Whether it was sports, whatever it was, I don't remember exactly. We found some common interests in our backgrounds, and we were able to just grow from there. And he said, you know what, I was younger then, so I could actually continue that level of a workout. I said, hey, I'm going to do these workouts with you. Because I was like 35 years old, so I still had Oh,
I see. So you worked out with him.
I worked out with him.
I see.
Said, let's go. Until we got to the more advanced stages where I can't keep up with this kind of workout.
Yeah.
He was ready then. He was ready to go on then.
Well, I guess once somebody gets confidence in you, man, that's the way it is. They trust you. The trust comes up.
And they followed. And then other guys started looking and saying, like, what's going on with him over there? What's going on there? And then they started to really buy in. They weren't just like, pushing back. Look, let's go do this workout. Let's go do this workout. Even the head coach at some point came to me and said, I want you to put me through some workouts after practice when you're done with the players. And I'm like, sure, let's do it. And
wow. So from a challenge point of view, you had to overcome your self-doubt you had to overcome that moment of like anxiety that you get when you walk into a moment, with these athletes and can I prove it? Can I make a difference here? And especially if they don't even want you, they're like, listen, I can do this without you.
Yes.
You overcame all of that. It makes sense. Well, we're running out of time, but I have to get this in. There are 3 lessons that you have learned across your career. It could be 2, but I just, I always go with 3. If you had to put it in succinctly, like, okay, what are the top 3 lessons that you learned that you carried with you?
So, Doc, I would say the top 3, and I was told this by my first boss, right? He said, be flexible. So you can adapt to change. He said, he told me one thing. He said, the only constant in the NBA is change.
Wow.
Whether you're changing players every season, coaches coming and going, management changes, sometimes ownership changes. It's like you have to be able to adapt to these things on the fly a lot of times in order to survive. I said, okay, I remember that, flexible. He told me, again, this is another thing from one of my mentors, just be yourself. This was honed into my head from Dr. Frank Walters. Be yourself, right? Because the guys you have to work with, you got to build trust with them. And these guys are really sharp. You know, don't think that they can't see through the phony baloney, the smoke and mirrors. They can see through all that nonsense. And if you are trying to fake it till you make it, you ain't gonna make it because they're not gonna trust you. They'll just give you, had answers and whatever, and they're not having any confidence in you and what you're doing. So you have to I picked that up early, just to be myself, and let the chips fall where they may. If this is not meant to be a long-lasting thing, well, thank God I got to this point. I enjoyed that part of it. I'll move on to something else. But obviously, God had another. He had other ideas in store for me. The one part that, and I said, this one was to stay on top of your game. So we have to do continuing education, just like you do in your medical field. We have to do that as well to keep up with the latest and greatest. And I always try to tell people, don't become complacent, because that even caught me for a minute too. That caught me for a minute when I got to my first position as a head athletic trainer when I left Atlanta. I'm here at the top now, so you can't tell me nothing. I know it all. I got all the answers, but no, I didn't have all the answers. But I had to learn those lessons along the way too. And so those three things is what I would say would be the top three for me.
Wow, I record them in my mind as being flexible, being adaptable, being yourself, being authentic,
yes.
and handle your business, stay on your game, because those three things are what keeps you in the game. Because you've had a long career. I mean, we're talking 3 decades in the NBA, and you are telling us that flexibility and authenticity and just having integrity by staying, keeping up with your training and your education and all of that matters. And I think that's a great message for anyone in any field.
Yes.
To take in. Yeah. So what advice would you give somebody? Let's say there's some young cats out there who want to enter into this field of what you've done here in sports medicine and in athletic training. What advice would you give them, or what would you tell them? What would you like to tell them?
You find mentors, people who are willing to help you. Don't forget about them as you're climbing. You can always go back to them. They have that experience. They've been there where you are trying to get to. They've been down those roads. They've had those challenges. They may not have shared them with you during your time with them, but I guarantee you go back to them, they'll say, yeah, man, this is how I handle this, right? You want to make the most money, doing whatever you want to do, you're in the wrong business, okay? You can't, it's not about the money. If that's all you're thinking about, you're not going to last long, because you're going to be very disappointed with the money, all right? You have to have a heart of service, because you're serving people. And a lot of athletic trainers, we're not even just taking care of the players. We're taking care of the coaches. We got people coming to us. I mean, everybody comes to us because we have this room in this building that's like a safe haven where people can actually come and they can either deal with some issue. They maybe just need somebody to talk to, right? And they may have enough confidence in being able to speak to you, and then you could tell them, well, look, I know somebody who can help you even more. Just go talk to this guy, right? But yes, if it's about the money, yeah, everybody wants fair compensation, but if that's what you're more about, then don't think about this field. And the last thing is the sacrifice. To work at this level, the sacrifices that you're going to have to deal with. The biggest one that's going to affect is the family. And if you're thinking about, or if you have a family and you have a wife and kids or a partner and children, whatever it is, everybody going into this has to understand that you are not always going to be available. There's so much demand on what you have to do for the group that you're working for, whatever the team is, that it's gonna put a lot of weight on you. And you have to have a good partner who understands that and is strong enough to deal with that and understand that there's going to be times where you're not going to be there. And I didn't plan on missing graduations and birthdays and holidays. You know, I can't remember, I could count on one hand how many Christmases I was home for, you know, and actually home for Christmas, because NBA plays games on Christmas, right? And for some reason, the teams I was with always played on Christmas Day for almost every season.
I really love that, Raj. I really felt like that was just excellent, because you really hit on some things that people ask about all the time, and they don't really understand the value of mentorship. Like you just talked about that. You talked about mentorship, stability, and sacrifice. And I feel as if that mentorship piece is so critical, because finding the right mentor is really a gold moment when you find that, and taking care of that mentor and that mentorship relationship, I think over time is also critical. So I really love that idea. So anybody out there listening, you want to be like a Roger Hinds, you want to get mentorship played a huge role in this man's success. And if you're listening and you want to climb, do you have a mentor? It's a question that we would be asking you, and maybe it's time to begin finding a mentor. I mentor some young doctors as well, and it's amazing like how hard it is to find good mentors.
That's a blessing, you know, that's a blessing to go through all those ups and downs that carry on throughout that time. You know, it wasn't just from into the NBA, it was not just a straight shot trajectory right to the championship. There was a lot of peaks and valleys, you know, and that you and I talked about just a couple of weeks ago when we had our little chat about how this is coming to a close for me, and what am I going to do next, right? But what a way to end, right?
It's amazing.
It was my pleasure. I was the one honored. I'm sorry. I'm honored. You know, I'm blessed to have a chance to be, you know, be here with you, and to just be part of this amazing program. You got this.
Well, it's mutual, brother. It is absolutely mutual. And I look forward to having you back on the Sweet Spot to talk about some more things. I know that we only touched the surface today, but that's what we had to do. We had to just get people to know that I wanted people to know that I actually know Roger Hinds. I mean, I told them that you were going to be coming on the Sweet Spot. They're like, come on, man. You're just going to take clips from the YouTube and you're going to put your voice over it. This is what they told me. They said, you're going to take some clips from YouTube of Roger Hinds talk, and then you're going to try to give us a feeling that you were really with him.
No. So I know you won't. You don't work like that. So that
no, I would never do that. Yeah. Knowing these cats, they probably still won't believe me. But Raj, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
And look forward to having you back on here again and again.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to The Sweet Spot with Dr. Derek Sweet. If today's message was helpful, please feel free to share it and subscribe. There's no cost to subscribing, and it helps others to discover the show. We hope you'll join us again for another inspiring message from Dr. Sweet and the Sweet Spot team. For science, soul, and success, stay with The Sweet Spot.
Science and soul, success in motion. Science and soul, success in motion. Level up your mind, level up your life, level up your purpose, one day at a time. Science and soul, success in motion. Sweet Spot.